Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé. Let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, since this is a psychology podcast, a psychology YouTube channel, everything that I talk about may contain triggering material. So keep that in mind and be careful. Let's watch.
Y además, siempre quise ser modelo, entonces tal vez esto me genere para poder conseguir trabajo. ¿Pagar mis boobies?
Tal vez.
No, sí. Primero mi cirugía. Después vestido de novia.
Yikes. So, okay. She fashions herself a model, and once, according to her calculation, she has to have surgery on her torso in various ways, and she wants to work, and so she has asked for that. He has refused in the past, and she said that she was going to ask a loan shark, which is, essentially a gangster, a criminal for, I think, or the black, at least we could say the black market when it comes to loans. And she said she was going to do that instead. And I thought, well, okay. I mean, she, it's her choice. She can, well, I guess if you're going to get married to someone, you should think about involving yourself with loan sharks, because you're essentially dragging your entire family into that, I think. Anyway. But at the time, I thought, well, she wants to do that, and people can make choices about their bodies, of course, if they want. And she considers a career move, all right. And he wouldn't give her the money, so she decided to get the money herself. Okay. But now we're back to it again, where she's asking it from him. He has said to her, I didn't show the clip, that he doesn't think she needs it. He likes her the way that she is. And, I don't think that's a valid argument, really, because if someone wants to do something to their body, then they should, within reason, should be allowed to do it, like something like this. And, from the outside, you can certainly say something like, well, I don't know, I kind of like you the way you are, but if that's what you want to do for yourself, then, go for it, of course. He could chime in on it, but that's not the question. The question isn't, does he like the change that she wants to do? The question is he willing to pay for it? And I imagine that if he knew for sure that they were going to be married and spend the rest of their lives together, I think he would pay for it. I'm guessing that he would. But he, I think wisely so, is saying, well, if I pay for it, does that set a precedent, or does it even just, is it, if she doesn't really marry me in the end, am I going to be out all that money because I was just being duped or something? I mean, at the very least, it doesn't make him feel very good, especially when she says something like this, of just like, look, you've already given me money before, keep giving me money, give me a big sum of money, and then we'll get married. It just doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence in someone's love for you, right?
With no wedding dress, there's no wedding. I'm not really for the surgery because different complications can come up. And it also costs $5,000. She should be wanting to use that money for our future together, but that doesn't seem to be on her mind, and that really hurts.
Well, it's hard to know what's on her mind. A lot of things could be on her mind, including she's scamming him completely, or she just really wants to work on her career and she does love him completely. But I think if you're Mike, a pretty easy litmus test at this point is just to say, well, I'm not willing to pay for it now, maybe later for sure, but I don't feel comfortable doing that right now for a number of reasons. And do you want to marry me? Are you sure that you do? Because if you don't, then, let's just call it off. No biggie. But if you do want to marry me, then I sure would love to see evidence of that. But I don't know if he feels entitled to that. I think he feels quite awkward. I think he feels quite socially anxious. I think he feels like he has to tread lightly, or else, he's going to lose her, which is just a terrible feeling for him to, he deserves better. He deserves someone, just think about this scene. Like, when people are engaged, usually, especially when you're falling in love for love reasons, it's because you're in love. You want to spend the rest of your life with them. You can't wait to get married. And sometimes I feel like on this show, our sense of what's normal drifts. Normally speaking, when people are getting married, they are 100%. Now, sometimes someone is 80% or something like this, but generally speaking, people are into it. They're like, yeah, this is for me. Maybe you get a little bit of cold feet. Maybe you talk about that with your friends or your therapist or something. But in the end, you're like, yes, this is the one for me. I want to marry this person. And it's supposed to be this mutual thing. And on this show, we almost never see evidence of that. It happens sometimes, but it's so kind of rare. And I think when I'm watching this, I'm like, I have to remind myself, wait, so under regular circumstances of romance, the Ximenas of the world are just like, I can't wait to get married. I love you. I'm going to spend the rest of my life with you. And would you mind buying me this other thing? But if you're not comfortable with that, we can certainly wait till after the wedding, because that's fine. Because I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I mean, we're not seeing anything close to that, right?
I do not want to talk about surgery anymore, if that's okay with you.
No quiero hablar de la cirugía si le parece bien.
Pero ¿por qué? Si es normal.
Yeah, okay, it's normal, but you're asking him to pay. Now, I wish he would be a little bit more clear about why maybe he will. I wish he would say something like, look, after we're married, after I'm pretty sure that you want to be with me, then yeah, absolutely, we can talk about surgery. But I don't know if you really want to be with me, and I don't want to give you a bunch of money and then find out that I'm not getting a lot of positive vibes from you, particularly on this trip. And then she could talk directly to that. Because if they're getting into this debate around, like, is it normal or not, then I think they're going to get off the rails a little bit.
El vestido no se está comprando.
Yeah, I think it's hitting him what's happening right now. I think he lands in her town. She isn't excited to see him. She goes out all night long. Then they go wedding dress shopping. She's in a bad mood. She's blowing him off. We see him not seeing this, but she's like rolling her eyes, just like, oh, this guy. Seemingly, it's hard to know. And then the demands, the ultimatum. If you're Mike, especially if you're one of Mike's friends, you got to be like, dude, read the room.
Well, she doesn't want me in the bed with her, and that makes me feel like we're getting even more distant. I'm just confused. Are we going to be intimate at all on this trip or no?
¿Vamos a tener intimidad en este viaje o no?
No quiero.
Okay, so a very direct question from him that we wouldn't necessarily get from other cast members. Are we gonna have sex? And she's like, I don't want to. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't look good. It looks like Ximena either never loved him or had a temporary love for him that last time he was down there when he proposed, or was mildly into him during that time and played with the fantasy of being with him, but ultimately never wanted to be with him at all. Either way, it looks like it's over. I mean, it really does. And I feel bad for Mike. And I hope that Ximena can be straight up with him. There's nothing wrong with falling out of love with someone. You could just say, look, I'm sorry. I don't feel it anymore. And so let's just call it off.
No.
Why?
¿Por qué?
Ay, ¿cómo te explico? O sea, tú tienes algo, o no sé si soy yo, creo no, si eres tú. Tú eres raro.
What? Jeez. You're weird. He's always been who he is. So you just changed your mind. Why do you have to? You could just say, I'm sorry, I'm just not into it anymore. Why do you have to say, I don't want to have sex with you because you're weird? What? Was he not weird before? And what's wrong with being weird?
You have something, or maybe it's me. No, it's you. You are weird.
No me gusta que estés ahí encima mío a diario. Si voy para un lado, tú haces lo mismo. Si yo dejo de comer, tú dejas de comer. Si a mí no me gusta esto, a ti tampoco te va a gustar. O sea, tú me imitas.
If I go to one side, you do the same. If I stop eating, you stop eating. I don't like that about
Okay, so we're hearing what she doesn't like. I think it's hard for me to know, but I think what she's saying is, you're like a puppy dog. You follow me around. You do whatever I do. You imitate me. You're not a real person. You don't have your own personality. And so, now, weird is a weird way of summarizing that, but okay, so maybe there's some working space there. Maybe, I don't know.
Maya es una persona muy cariñosa, pero a veces es demasiado. Nunca me ha gustado de que siempre estén ahí como entran encima mío. Y tampoco me gusta que me estén diciendo te amo cada ratico y que estén ahí como chocheándolo a uno, o sea.
Yeah, the way that it was, I don't think I showed at least my reaction to all those scenes where he was just repetitively saying te amo. Is that how you say it? I love you. Anyway, and I think it was because he was nervous. He doesn't speak Spanish. It was when the family was around. He's just like, I get a good response when I say that thing, so I'll just keep doing it. I think he has a hard time kind of realizing what's happening around him socially. So I get that for her, she's just like, like always, like doing whatever I want him to do and never doing things that he wants to do. He just seems like he's in a constant state of fear with me, and I don't like that. It feels bad. Yeah, I guess maybe that's the way to put it. It's that, like, I had a friend of mine had a student tell me. So a friend of mine, she's a professor, and she was telling me about a student, and it was a mentorship relationship. It wasn't just a student professor. It was a mentorship so they were very involved, training and stuff. And the trainee was he was just like he worshipped the mentor, but almost kind of in a fake way, or a coming from a place of fear of just like, I'll do anything you want. Oh, just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. And whenever she would tell him what to do, he would be like, oh my God, thank you so, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. And she's like, just take it easy. We're colleagues, kind of. So I need you just relax. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll relax. I'll relax. And then, like, the visual that she told me about that really gets to me about this was years ago, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that when they worked at a clinic together, and when they were walking down the hallway, and he would see her coming down the hallway, he would plaster himself against the wall and be like, okay, I'm sorry, and you're just thinking, what? Like, we're both adults. You can walk in the hall. You don't need to plaster. You don't need to give me that much room. I'm not a monster. I don't have spikes on me. Like, why are you treating it? Now, I think for him, it was a passive aggression. I think he had some kind of massive relational traumas regarding just like authority and abuse. And his way of coping with it was to be extremely over deferential, but also trying to communicate his anger towards her by exaggerating these kinds of, like, you're going to get me. And she's just like, why are you treating me like I'm going to beat you? I've never been angry at you. And now I am angry at you. Now I do want to beat you. Anyway, point is that it can be extremely annoying when someone is like very deferential. It's just like, hey, just because if you're Ximena, it just makes you feel like, Jesus, like I feel like you're always afraid. You're not yourself. And I feel blamed. I feel like I feel like I'm being given this message that I'm a scary person, or it has that effect on people. It's sometimes hard to articulate if you're ever in that position, and sometimes you'll just be like, you're weird.
Eso es estresante, la verdad, que cansa. Y además de eso se niega para ayudarme en mi cirugía, que es lo más importante para mí en estos momentos. Ya no puedo ignorar más estas cosas.
I mean, I don't understand her calculus right here, because she is probably going to lose him if she just keeps hammering on the surgery thing, at which point he's never going to pay for it. So if she's, which kind of points to maybe she isn't really scamming him, because if she were, she would act like she was into him, right? So maybe she's both. Maybe she's just not into him anymore, and she just, I don't know. What do you think? Let me know.
Okay, I won't be on top of you. I'll give you your space.
Está bien, no estaré encima de ti y te daré un espacio.
Antier creo que fue, o sea, yo me levanté y tú viéndome como cosas raras, o sea, tú no duermes por estarme espiando, por estarme viendo, o sea, ¿qué es eso? O sea.
Now, she could be cooler about this. She could be like, I really love it that you love me. I love it that you want to look at me. I think you just love me a lot and you want to look at me. That's nice, but I'm sorry, I just need a little space. She could say it like that, but she's not. She's like, you're weird. What's wrong with you? You know, it's not a great strategy of talking with your fiancé.
I got up and you seeing me as strange things. You no longer sleep because they are spying for being watching me. I know what that is.
No, I'm not. I'm not spying on you. I just like to look at you because you're beautiful. When you sleep, when you're up, you're beautiful all the time.
Solo me gusta mirarte porque eres hermosa.
Now, who knows what she's referring to? Is he just like staring at her like that Tim and Eric sketch, or is he just like occasionally looking at her and she doesn't like him anymore and she doesn't like that?
I will change, and I'm sorry.
Solo quiero que sepas que cambiaré.
Ojalá.
Hopefully.
Mientras tanto que pasa todo esto, quiero un espacio, quiero tiempo, todavía no me quiero casar.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like scamming, right? Because she's like, I don't want to get married. I don't feel good about this. So maybe she's like, well, maybe it would make me happier if he paid for this thing, and maybe she's not really thinking this through very much. I don't know, but she's given him a lot of messages that she wants him to back off. She doesn't want to get married yet, and maybe Mike can now kind of look at this. I mean, people deserve. It's just hard to watch this show when there's clearly just not a mutual love, right? People deserve that. Mike deserves that, and she deserves that.
While all this happens, I want his space. I want time. I still don't want to get married. I think that we get married, yes, but not yet, no.
Between the trips, it seems like she's like a different person. It kind of makes me feel like she's really just not into this relationship anymore.
Good. I mean, that's a fair conclusion. I don't think she would disagree with that. So now it wouldn't be unwise for Mike to be like, well, let's try it. I'll give her some space. Let's see if we can rekindle this thing. But, if nothing works, then you just have to cut your losses, right? Right? I don't know.
I'm just confused because I love you very much. I want to spend my life with you. But I really need to know, do you love me?
Good. I'm always wanting the cast members to be direct. Just ask the question. Like when you're, I don't know, what characters on the show would I want? Anyway, so that's a great question to be like, hey, I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. But I want to know, do you love me? Because it kind of seems like maybe you don't anymore. It's a great question. And I kind of trust that she's going to be honest. Let's see what she says.
Estoy confundido porque te quiero muchísimo. ¿Me amas?
No, no te amo.
It's like, oh, Mike. Well, I thought she'd be honest. I mean, all things were kind of pointing that direction. And, good for her for being honest. She could have delivered it in a nicer way. He's your fiancé. It's not like you're breaking up with someone after a couple weeks, right? Well, you kind of are. Anyway, so Mike knows now. Now, that's, yeah. But he hasn't dated in a long time, and so this is his first foray. Hopefully he'll recover and he'll find someone that is compatible with him and likes to occasionally fart and doesn't care if there are socks on the floor and doesn't mind him staring at her all the time. There's a lid for every pot mic. Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll work it out.
I do not love you.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, that's tough. But good on Ximena for being honest. She was giving a lot of signals, which, I mean, she could have just been honest about it right up front. But, because, you know, in these situations, it's just like, if you, okay, you fall in love, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, da-da-da-da-da, romance, kisses, sex, plans for the future, da-da-da, introduce you to my kids, introduce you to my family, proposal, yes, oh my God, this is so great, this is so great, this is great. And then you fall in love, it's kind of on you to tell the person. You shouldn't drag someone through a bunch of crap and then make them ask you a question, and then you're like, oh yeah, by the way, no. Oh yeah, well, that's an interesting question. Yeah, no, I don't love you anymore. It's sort of like, that's on you. If you fall, because the assumption is that it's there. If you fall out of love, as soon as that happens, or, you know, you're pretty sure, inform. Don't force them into a confusing situation and then make them ask you about it. It's uncool. But she did respond. She did give a lot of signals. It provoked a question from him. She answered honestly, so it's better than most. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.